Hey everyone, welcome back to Lovoria Network, the place where real emotions meet unforgettable journeys. Today's story is one that might hit close to home for a lot of you. It's about pain, pride, and the kind of family drama that no one ever wants to live through. Yet somehow I did. So, sit back and listen closely, because this one changed my life forever. I grew up in a small town where family meant everything. At least, that's what I used to think. My parents were well known in the community, and they always made sure people saw us as the perfect family. But behind closed doors, I was always treated differently. My two siblings could do no wrong, but for some reason, I was always the black sheep. Every decision I made was questioned, every dream I had was dismissed. When I turned 18, I told my parents I wanted to move to the city and chase my passion for architecture. My father laughed in my face, saying I'd come crawling back within a year. My mother just shook her head and said, "Don't embarrass us." Those words stayed with me for years. Like invisible scars I carried everywhere I went. But I didn't crawl back. I worked harder than ever. I took up night shifts, studied all day, and slept barely 4 hours a night. My first job paid next to nothing, but I didn't care. I was building something of my own, my dignity, my independence, my future. And slowly, things started to change. Within a few years, I got promoted. Then came bigger projects, better pay, and eventually, I started my own architectural firm. By 30, I had everything I'd ever dreamed of, my own mansion, a team that respected me, and a life that was truly mine. But one thing always hurt. My parents never called, never visited, never once said they were proud. For 10 long years, I was excluded from every family reunion. I'd see pictures online. My siblings, my parents, smiling together, pretending I didn't exist. Friends would ask, "Why aren't you in these pictures?" And I'd just smile and say, "Oh, I was busy." But deep down, it cut deeper than any wound ever could. One day, my assistant buzzed me and said, "Sir, there's a couple at the gate who says they're your parents." I froze. 10 years of silence, and now suddenly, they decided to show up? I didn't know whether to laugh, cry, or walk away. When I went outside, there they were, older, grayer, but unmistakably them. My father stood tall, though his eyes seemed less certain. My mother's hands trembled slightly. "We were in the neighborhood," she said softly. "Thought we'd visit." In the neighborhood? My mansion was 2 states away from where they lived. I asked them why they were really there. My father looked around and said, "You've done well for yourself. We thought maybe we could all start over." I almost couldn't believe it. Start over? After a decade of rejection, now that I had everything they once said I'd never achieve, they wanted a fresh start? For a moment, I wanted to yell. I wanted to remind them of every tear I shed, every lonely birthday, every time I'd wished they'd call. But instead I just said, "Why now?" My mother looked down and whispered, "Because we lost everything. The house, the business. Your brother moved abroad and your sister doesn't talk to us anymore." It was like a punch in the chest. Not because I felt pity, but because I realized they hadn't come for me. They came because they needed something. Their sudden love wasn't born out of guilt or affection, it was desperation. I told them to come inside anyway. Maybe I wanted closure, maybe I wanted to see if there was still any trace of love left between us. I served them dinner, the same way they taught me growing up, politely, perfectly, no emotion on my face. They kept complimenting everything. "You've really made something of yourself," my dad said between bites. "This house is beautiful." My mom nodded and smiled, "You always had good taste." I watched them, wondering if they remembered the nights I cried myself to sleep in that small apartment when I had nothing. Wondering if they regretted missing out on my life. Then came the real reason for their visit. "We were hoping," my father began awkwardly, "that maybe you could help us financially for a while, just until we get back on our feet." I felt my heart tighten. There it was. The truth, raw and unapologetic. I took a deep breath. "Dad, when I needed support, you told me to figure it out alone. Remember?" He didn't answer. "You taught me that family isn't always there for you, and I learned that lesson well." My mom started crying, whispering that they were sorry. But I had spent too many years being sorry for things I didn't do. I looked at them and said, I'll help you, but not because you're my parents. I'll help you because I refuse to become like you. The silence that followed was louder than any argument we'd ever had. I gave them a check to get back on their feet and told them they could stay the night in the guest room. The next morning, when I woke up, they were gone. No note, no goodbye. Just silence, the same kind they had given me all those years. That day, I realized something powerful. Sometimes, forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. Sometimes, letting go means accepting that the people you love may never change. I wasn't bitter anymore, just free. A few months later, I got a letter from my mother. She wrote, "We're proud of you. We didn't know how to say it before." It wasn't much, but for me, it was enough closure to finally move on. Now, when I look at my mansion, I don't see revenge. I see peace. I see a life built not on resentment, but resilience. And maybe that's the biggest victory of all, proving that no matter who walks away, you can still stand tall. So, if you've ever been abandoned, rejected, or made to feel less by your own family, remember this: your worth doesn't depend on their approval. Build your life, live your truth, and one day, your light will shine so bright, even those who tried to dim it will have no choice but to notice. And that is my story.